curiosity why.
Matrix webcast,
Where the human spirit flies. Matrix webcast. Where the human spirit flies.
Hey, welcome to the MedBix Webcast. This is Ramana Anamraju. I'm the host. The regular co-host, she is missing in action. She may be going to the island and shooting some deers and pigs and whatever it is. Hunter in a red pickup truck. If you see her in the red pickup truck hunting animals, say hello to her. Okay. I hope she will be back soon. But I have a very interesting co-host. My co-host is my friend. She is from Silicon Valley. She is a PhD, doctorate, dentist, all qualifications. And we used to hang around here quite a bit in Silicon Valley. But she is now moved to all the way to the Florida. Hot weather, bugs. She loves it on the ocean. Let me bring here Dr. Nazim. I try my best at last name, and I'm always fail it, so I give up. So Nazim is my friend. Let me welcome Nazim, the Dr. Nazim.
Thank you so much.
How do you say your last name, Nazim?
It's Mesgarzadeh. Thank you so much.
Mesgarzadeh. Right? Did I say it right? Good.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, Nassim is fine as long as we can see each other. And I'm so glad to be with you tonight. It's actually my night. For you, it's still evening, and so glad and so excited for today's guest.
Nazim, are you so much going on in the world right now? There is so much going on. You are originally from families from Iran. Are they safe? Everybody, all your family and friends, they're all safe? It's not a political channel. I just want to know everybody is safe.
Everybody is safe, but everybody is also a little bit, worried and heartbroken. But it's just, I'm so glad, like, at least my family, they're okay. But it doesn't mean that, so many families are affected with multiple, incidents. And there are so many families that they lost loved one. And right now, I think the country is in a long, grief. So, and I am also with them. So in terms of safety, we are good. But in terms of, not emotionally and, psychologically, no.
Wish you all the best. My channel is Science Channel. I don't. But I always wish them all the best in the people. All humanity should be, it should be there. Now we have an interesting guest. This guest I know her family very well. I used to go to her house and eat some of the food. And I never know that she is in healthcare and she has a PhD. And, I came across her profile recently, it is very interesting. And, she can talk a lot about this. Is a local. She is a few miles from, she's in Fremont. She works in Fremont City. And let me introduce her in my introduction. Okay, I'm going to read a little bit because I don't want to miss anything, so I'm always introduction, at least I do read it a little bit. Let me introduce you our guest. Our guest today is Dr. Shalini Dewan, an internationally experienced medical writer, regulatory strategist, and a public health leader whose work has helped translate complex science into the documents that bring the new medicines and medical technologies to the patients, from clinical study protocols and investigator brochures to regulatory submissions. Investigator brochures are like a communication channels. She has spent years ensuring that groundbreaking research meets the highest scientific and regulatory standards. Very long resume, very good. because medical communication is so important in my view. Dr. Dewan has held leadership positions at Moderna, during whether she knows or not. I interviewed Moderna, the vaccine inventor, Catalin Carrico, uh, vaccine inventor, COVID vaccine inventor, Roche Diagnostics, PhD, Roche Diagnostics, PPD. I don't know what is a PPD. I will ask her. And now Peer AI, where she is helping integrate generative AI into the future of medical writing and regulatory science. Beyond the pharmaceutical industry, she serves as a public health consultant and a principal investigator for the city of Fremont, California. That's where the home of Tesla used to be there. Investigator for the city of Fremont, leading evidence-based initiative to address the opioid crisis. Oh, that is a very important crisis. Through collaboration, policy, and community engagement. Today, we will discuss the evolving role of the medical writing, how artificial intelligence is transforming drug development, and why clear scientific communication is more important than ever. Please join me. Welcome, Dr. Shalini Dewan. Welcome, Dr. Shalini Dewan. Welcome. Welcome to the MedBix webcast.
Thank you, Ramana, and thank you, Dr. Naseem, for having me on your show. And people are like, "What is medical writing?" One slogan, one
Just to give me your
tagline.
before you talk about medical writing, can you give me your background a little bit? If I miss anything, just run
Sure,
through
I
this.
will, but I always start with my tagline because I've been doing medical writing for 3 decades. So
Okay.
I call it as medical writing weaves knowledge into lifelines of hope. So that's how I introduce myself.
Okay.
And before I
Absolutely.
go ahead and give my introduction, which you generously already gave, um, but I've been into medical writing for past 3 decades, and recently finished my PhD. Because again, another slogan I follow, or a thing which I totally rely on, is learning never stops. So I recently finished my PhD and joined City of Fremont um, as principal investigator uh, in the opioids project they have, and now leading the whole project. The City of Fremont has a lot of funding, which was received by federal, and so we're trying to utilize that funding to the right way it should be. What are the needs and how we can implement the help, or we can give out the help needed for the community.
Now let me ask you, Shalini. I know you very well, but let me ask you: the medical right AI is coming in the picture now. Artificial intelligence. How is where the AI can play a role, where AI cannot play a role? Can you tell us? Everybody is now gung ho in Silicon Valley. We are all in Silicon Valley.
Right,
Everybody is Uber driver too. All the way CEO talks about AI.
right.
So, what do you think where AI role in medical writing?
So, AI is, you should consider AI as a friendly tool. People, or I should say, companies have a myth that, AI will take over everything. Definitely not in healthcare. We
Mhm,
need that physical touch of a doctor.
mhm,
We need a physical touch of a nurse. But on the backstage as well, whatever the pharma companies are doing, the biotech companies are doing, AI is just a tool to integrate, help process things faster, but it cannot take over the human way of doing medical writing. So I can give you an example. In medical writing, I treat medical writers as an agent between the a qualifier, which is our FDA in US, and the agency, uh, who is submitting their documents for approval of a drug. So, if we are to write maybe a protocol or maybe a clinical study report, it would take months and months to get to a level where it could be submitted. So, medical writer is acting as an agent between the agency and the qualifier. However, with this AI coming into picture, the process has been sped up. We can write a one draft, like the first draft, without the data in it in 1 week. So it does need a lot of iterations. It does need a platform to qualify for a specific component. And when you are making that platform, when you are qualifying a product for a particular submission, that's where the human trend is needed. But if I'm telling you that, AI is helping from months of writing manually to a level where it can be done in 1 week, is a big achievement. So, you know, I call it as a friendly tool rather than, an enemy who's going to take over the mankind.
Nazim, you are almost wanted to marry a open eye Sam Altman. So tell me, what is your take on AI and writing? Just what do you have any interesting opinion or question on that one in that regard?
Yeah, absolutely. Dr. Divan touched a really important point is, these are tools, but I just wanted to add that these are really powerful tools, and each day they are getting more powerful. And I think, we as clinicians and, especially healthcare providers, we have to be open to, learn all the tools,
Mhm.
because what I sense is that I really, uh, of course I want to work hand in hand with the engineers and all the people who have deep knowledge in this board, but at the same time I think it's not enough for me to only just learn the surface. I think like before we needed to know multiple languages, we need to know how to work with computer. I think these days we all need to really educate ourselves to
Mhm.
be able to work closely. And then the fact is that so many of these AI companies that we are not taking seriously, they are doing serious works in healthcare as well. So it's just some fruits for thought for this.
Yeah, but Nazim and Shalini, at the end of the day, you're communicating to the public. It is fine regulatory. These protocols you follow. You can, maybe, yeah, I can do those kind of things, but when you are communicating with the other humans like public, so you need that compassion and empathy and all those things, and understanding of the cultural differences. Or they play a role, Shalini, that writing that kind of a, when you writing, do you differentiate between writing to AI, writing to the regulatory agencies, or writing to the public?
Yes. So we have different tools. Regulatory agencies definitely, there is a specific way of transmitting the information of the drug development. There is a thing, I wouldn't call it new, but comparatively new than medical writing. It's called as plain language summary. That's directly dealing with the public, explaining them in a very layman language. And again, AI helps in that as well. If a person who's been day in and day out working on a medical document and wants to explain the same thing to a layman, they might miss certain points explaining to a common man. But with this AI tool, which is developed, it can ease the process. It won't miss anything. So, as I said, it's a friendly tool, but not 100% replacement for somebody.
Did you worked with the Moderna during the COVID, the highest, the heightened point of the COVID during we are going through COVID? Did you worked with the Moderna? I interviewed Nobel Prize winner Catalin
Oh, nice.
Carrico on my podcast. She was wonderful, gracious. Um, she was telling all these um, the drama, the like a spy novel almost. So tell me your experience with the dealing with the Moderna when you're doing this kind of a thing, writing with them.
So, I also worked on one of the products for COVID. It wasn't a vaccine. So I worked with Moderna along with PPD. PPD's client was Moderna, and I also directly worked with Moderna. So my tenure at PPD was working on the COVID, not a vaccine, but a COVID drug. And this was like funded by different government agencies, couple of companies involved. One of them was Moderna.
COVID
And
drug means Plavixid or something like that, right? Not a
sorry,
COVID vaccine. What is the
it
name of
was
the
a
COVID
COVID
drug?
vaccine. It not a COVID vaccine. It was a product
Okay.
which was on a parallel platform that if this clinical trial fails, we'll jump up to another
Jump up
product.
to that
That
one.
clinical trial fails. So there were like seven different products which
Really?
I was working on.
Seven
And
platforms are
yes, seven
on the
platforms, and I was doing medical
amazing.
writing parallelly. If so, one product could be in phase one, and the other product could be in phase two, and to have them at the same level and portray to FDA the results, it wasn't an easy task. So that's the one thing I worked with Moderna, and the other one which I was directly working with Moderna was on monkeypox vaccine.
At the same time, yeah, it is happening monkeypox vaccine,
Yeah,
right?
because their vaccine was doing great, and so they wanted to develop another product on the same technology. I mean, they have many products on the mRNA technology. So I was involved in the monkeypox and couple of other respiratory agents.
Your job is to submit to the regulatory agency, or you're writing into the public, or both. What is your job in the, and then
Medical
how do,
writing is always making the document submittable to the regulatory agency.
that is our prime responsibility.
Yes. Plain language summaries, as I said, is a new concept which came in, I would say, about 5, 6 years ago. So medical writers are primarily involved in the regulated field, or they may be involved in writing journal articles, abstracts, posters. That's where, so mainly like medical communication, um, but it's all medical language. Plain language summary comes as a secondary. So all the clinical as well as non-clinical transformation from the drug development to the regulatory agencies. That's where the medical writer stands.
When you are submitting, I will let the Nazim take next question. But I when you are seven platforms, when you are writing something, how do you know that it doesn't conflict with other platform things, or other agreeing or duplicating other platform? How do you know the difference?
So that is an art, honestly. That is an art of how you portray your results. That's where the medical writer comes in picture. But I'm not saying that it is the discretion of the medical writer who is writing, but it also is the clinical developer. who wants to portray a certain way.
Mm.
So I would correlate it to um a priest in the temple who's trying to offer things to God. So we are like priests for the biotech companies who are trying to offer to FDA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Giving a different things to the
Mhm.
um
Awesome.
so
I wanted to ask a very quick question, and for our audience, since you're expert in medical writing, would you like to please give us like one or two pros or one or two keys in terms of it? So next time you're writing our, articles or manuscripts. I'm currently working on a book chapter that I'm like, I really struggle. So anything, any resources, anything that you can guide us a little bit more, please.
excellent question.
So I feel, medical writing is more because it's, scientifically, we are writing towards a scientific arena. But writing itself is something which I would say you are born with, because it's some kind of a creative thing which you have developed over the years. Not saying that a person who's not creative cannot become a medical writer, but then you need to understand what is your objective. If you know what the end result is going to be, and you're organized through the channel of, you know, getting to the objective and the end result, you can reach your goal. So, the first and foremost thing to write would be determine your goal and then channelize how you want to write. So, whenever I am writing even a protocol, first of all, my thing is, what am I going to achieve? Am I trying to say that, we are proving the immunology? Am I trying to say that we are proving the method of development? What is our criteria? So, and then I move backwards and ultimately reach to the objective.
Love that.
Yeah, Shalini, just the way I think, a little bit different. You just mentioned a few minutes ago as a temple and priest, right?
Mhm.
I think in a metaphor first. What metaphor really works there in that complex scientific subject I want to present? So, um, I, that is the one area I create a metaphor in my mind first. What are the analogy? A feast, or if they're bringing coconut, what they're bringing? So that kind of a mindset I go and say what kind of metaphor I can tell the story, and then technical I move into technical. This storytelling is it acceptable, or is do you mention any time a metaphors inside the writing?
So it's exactly the same thing what I just mentioned. If a priest is doing some kind of prayers, the priest wants to know, what are you doing the prayers for? That's your goal, right? You're
Yeah.
doing a prayer for your house, you're doing it for your car or a baby born, whatever it is. W-
Yeah.
That's the goal, that we want to offer the prayers to God for maybe my car. So that's my end goal. And then I want to reach to the objective. Okay, for the car prayer, I probably need a coconut or I need a lemon. So you'll you'll ultimately go to your objective, and that's how I channelize my um, writing. And I've heard this also, what you are saying, Ramana, is it's kind of a storytelling. um in the scientific documents, I don't think it is true. It's more like, you are specifying the facts.
you ended up open-ended. One thing is
I
why Indians
I
pay cars. So we need to finish that part. The reason they pay cars, it was not even in my back home in India. Also, this is a Silicon Valley phenomena in my view. It is not there anywhere. It's a safety. I don't know car has to run a longer time. I don't know. God knows what that praying is, but but something. Okay. But anyway, that is just a religious sentiment here.
Mhm.
Uh, l- you were when medical writing. When you write, this is my passion. I do write, but write for communicating to the general public. I take concepts like quantum physics. For example, if I wanted to explain the quantum physics, I explain Hindu gods. For example, they appear and disappear. Those kind of things I explain that they understand better in that sense. Storytelling, scientific protocols don't work that way, but it is
Right.
at least conceptually.
Mhm.
You One of the things is sometimes medical writing is, to be honest with you, this is big problem, Shalini. If I don't want to say this, but in general, in the media, it is a colossal failure to understand science. They don't communicate very well. They
Mhm.
do wrong communications. All of them are politics. Really, we are missing a big piece in the media. A scientific shows that really tell the story of the human health and human things.
I
It
agree.
is, yeah, it is really sad state. We all talk about same nonsense. How do you do that? But science is missing in the total. And the journalists, most of the journalists that you see on science, they're half knowledge. They hardly know science. So they just pick up some sciences, a couple of sentences. Do you think they need a change? I wanted to ask both of you. There is a need for change for that. I think we need to change that. Our media itself in the world, not only in the United States, India, and other countries, the scientific focus must be a little bit more prevalent.
I would say, in one sentence, we need a scientific storyteller.
Yeah, yeah. What do you say, Nazim? Hmm.
I love how concise you mentioned it, Dr. Devan. For me, I think nowadays, me as an like if I look as an audience, like as someone that consumes media, I think we have the flexibility to choose.
Mhm.
And of course, there are plenty of resources, but I think I myself struggle to really curate what I really consume in terms of information. So that is something we really need to be careful. And I myself, in my field, which is orthodontics and surgical orthodontics, I'm really concerned that, as you said, how many people really write in a good and novel way.
Mhm.
So because we keep getting all these highly ranked scientific, for example, magazines, and it comes both in digital and also printed. They're uh, but I know that rarely people really open them and really read through them, unless they're doing specific research about something that they go through that article. I think we need to rethink about really telling the story in a more communicative and impactful way as well. It doesn't mean that we change the way that we write articles, but also in terms of communicating, and as you said, the better storytelling. I think that's the key, of course.
And it's more like, who is our audience. If somebody is reading a journal article, probably the audience is more a person who is scientifically inclined and they get to it. But if it is a layman, like, suppose my husband who's in tech, he wants to read an article, he will probably not understand because he's not gone through that. So it really depends what is our audience. And again, What's your goal when you're writing? Who are your audience?
Shalini, this is a very important question you raised. That is interdisciplinary thinking. One of the things, I have a lot of doctors watch my program. I don't teach them medicine. I teach them mathematics and physics and what are the quantum physics is, how the quantum computers in the future affect medicine, how the physics affect medicine. Those are things they're interested in to learn, naturally curious. So its audience is that there is always, doesn't matter, however, my audience are the Harvard, John Hopkins and Stanford, everybody there. Why they're listening? Because that area they were not exposed. They're listening to that area because they were not exposed, that they can connect the dots, you know so that is the biggest part missing. Now let me shift the topic now, a different topic. Opioid crisis. Okay. I know opioid crisis because I don't have anybody in the family. Thank God for that. But I know a lot of families go through this process.
Mhm.
Fentanyl is becoming the biggest problem, and then pill mills in Georgia and other in southern states, they call pill mills. They are all in the boondocks. They produce this methamphetamine, all kinds of drugs they produce. You can't even catch them. This is what they do is when they take these drugs, they don't call police because they don't want to get caught. They don't want to catch the place. And so a lot of people die. 60,000 people die in a year. This is unnecessary death. Young people, they go to clubs. Somebody in the club, they give it to our, it doesn't matter. It's our children, our
Right.
friends, our friends' children. Doesn't matter. They go to a club and partying there. Some kid in the restroom can give that nonsense to them. So how do you address this huge social problem uh, in the United States? This is a really crisis. Are there any? First of all, I'm asking, what are the methods available? Then we will get into the funding part of it a little bit.
So, Ramana, I am working only in the opioids area, not really any other substance use. So, very concentrated into the opioids area. And the biggest tool which I have seen in this area is use of Narcan. So while doing my thesis, I did a lot of research, and I had proposed to City of Fremont that the first thing to do in this crisis is the use of Narcan. And people actually don't know about
Yeah,
Narcan. I've been like propagating it, like, anybody I meet, I talk about Narcan. And still it is, people are unaware of it. And the good part about Narcan is that the person who's giving it is protected by Good Samaritan law, and also a receiver who probably did not have an overdose of opioid and still Narcan is given will not affect him in any bad way. So, it is important to understand, why Narcan is important. Um, so recently I
I
approved.
just want to add to you 1 second that one.
Mhm.
Narcan is a wonder drug in my view.
It is 100%. So recently, I approved a poster to be put in BART, and it only talks about Narcan. So there is an organization by the name Bay Area Community Health Back, and they are doing a wonderful job in the community to overcome this problem. And we'd given them some funding, and they had made a poster about how bad it is to use opioids and blah blah blah. And I was like little reluctant for that poster to go on BART, and I was like, people don't know about Narcan. People know that opioids is bad,
Yeah,
still it's being used, but we need to make awareness of Narcan. And
absolutely.
then In my research paper, I had actually projected for City of Fremont that we can do it exactly the same way as we did to eradicate, I mean, COVID. In those days it was kind of a plan to eradicate COVID by giving vaccination. Every company you join, every job you went to, every school admission you did, they would ask, did you take vaccine or not? Why can't we have that kind of a spree that every household needs to have at least one Narcan kit in their home? And any passerby, I mean, even if you think that this person is having a seizure or is it an overdose, just give Narcan. At least you can save a life.
I create a
And yeah,
You're
yesterday
going to
was
love it. I created a app that is really solves that problem. Really, you made an important point.
mm,
Before I just jump into our Narcan, tell
mm.
me what is opioid cases? You just a general term you use it. What is it a prescription over pill, prescription drugs, or fentanyl, or what are the opioid crisis creates?
It is the fentanyl inclusion, and you know that fentanyl, even if a minuscule of fentanyl is there, it can create a havoc.
I
So
saw even the police officers open the fentanyl box by smelling it. They fall.
I
I
think
saw some video.
it is a myth,
It's
because
a
I
myth.
recently attended a seminar, and it was like a seminar which was like on hands kind of a thing. And they very specifically mentioned about this, that you can die or you can do an overdose just by smelling it.
Yeah.
But yes, it is like even a little of a microgram,
Hmm.
and if it is there, it can create a problem. And again, the counterfeit
That's
medication, like
all.
these days, this wet medication, xylazine, that's creating a havoc again.
What is that called? They're taking the vet. What is that called?
It is a veterinary medication, xylazine.
Is it like a horse medication?
Some vet medication, I don't know
Oh
where it
my
is
God.
used, but
They get a
that
high.
is,
These people are taking high in the.
it yeah, it's deadlier than fentanyl.
Oh my God. Don't even know the names. Nazim, do you have a lot of people, patients come with teeth pain, all kinds of things. You don't come across these kind of problems,
No,
right?
no, I'm
And
so grateful that I know, but it's very, very important. Yeah, actually, I lost a loved one because of this,
Mm.
a family member. Yeah. So if we wanted to shift a little bit of gear, and I wanted to, when I think of like public health, I really want to know, how did you chose to be, to choose this specialty, and what, I mean, in terms of other people who want to be in this specialty, what are your advices, and what actually, made you interested in this?
It was purely my personal reasons. While growing up, I always wanted to be a physician. And, I did all my education in India, and I couldn't get into, so, you have these entrance exams. I couldn't get into the medical exam. However, my heart always lied there. So instead of being a physician, I ended up being a pharmacist. um, and then I did my master's in pharmacy as well from India, because after my bachelor's in pharmacy, I was more interested into research work. So I shifted the gears to being in research. I did it in medicinal chemistry. And back of my mind, and my mom always wanted me to be a doctor. And I was like,
Nazim. Indian
Yeah, one
rule.
day,
Yeah.
one day I will probably do something.
Mm.
And I think being with people, there were two things which I could have done at this age of my life was either do a doctorate in health administration or do doctorate in public health. So I chose public health because I thought this is the way I want to be closer to people. Um, However, still back of my mind, I want to do health administration as well. And to be honest, I actually was searching today, how can I get a double doctorate, if I can, by transferring some of my units and get a doctorate in health administration as well. So
Shalini, create, you're doing a more than saving lives. Creating any impact is a
mhm,
more important than
true,
degrees, adding up the degrees. So you're doing extraordinary job saving lives, creating a policies that more important than just random degrees is not a glory of ours. We passed that stage. India, you and me, my father also thought of being a doctor, everything. I did not, but I do something different. So there is so many ways you can contribute to
true.
humanity, human life, and there is no regrets or there is no apologies required. The question is, uh, let me ask you. Just you mentioned India a little bit. Is there any crisis in India, opioid and other country? Iran. I heard there is a problem in Iran. Actually, big opioid crisis. So let me ask you: is there any crisis coming to spreading to these countries?
India is a huge country, and I am aware about the mental health problems. One of my family members is big time into. She's a psychologist and a registered psychologist, and she deals with mental health issues. And she talks about opioids as well because they are kind of correlated. But again, India does not have that much awareness. A state named Punjab,
Yeah, the
huge substance use problems.
huge
Not
problem.
only opioids, major problems with substance use.
Yeah.
So there are problems, and I think it's there in every country because now the substance use has become a part of life, more like a lifestyle that, you know, that person tried, why can't I try? So it's that kind of a problem. I'll tell you an example of Narcan. They know this is a wonder drug that can save life if you do an opioid overdose. There was this girl who tried taking Narcan 8 times. She told her friend, I'm going to overdose myself. Here is Narcan. As soon as I do that, just give me Narcan. 8 times she was saved. But it's,
What she's taking now? She's taking Narcan or fentanyl?
no, she was taking an opioid overdose.
Overdose, yeah.
She was just doing it for thrill that I have Narcan with my friend
Attachment.
and she will put it on me and I will be saved. She's done that 8 times. So, you know,
It's a
it's more
wonder
like,
drug, no question about
yeah,
it.
it's like people want to have a thrilling life. It's kind of a lifestyle,
Yeah.
and they
But that,
don't know that they're leading into an addiction.
yeah. But you're not promoting because you have Narcan, take as many fentanyl as possible. That is not our
Yeah,
goal.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But let me ask you the other question is of funding. When I was in the previous administration, this administration, present administration, everybody talk about opioid funding. Really, is there any lot of funding about? I was talking with your chief of fire chief, Diaz. I'm Zoria Diaz. I'm talking. She said that most of the calls are fentanyl calls, opioid crisis calls, actually. That was surprising to me. So fire department is responding to the opioid calls. So is there any funding available? Plenty of funding. Narcan you can distribute easily, can buy easily. What are the situation in the Narcan and the opioid funding and people like you funding for all these things? Where I don't know anything about the funding part. How cities are active in that pursuing funding? Is there any federal, state, any funding available for that?
So, federal has provided huge funding in past 3 years, but it really depends on, and it has provided the funding to state, and it really depends on the cities if they want to take that funding or not. Did they apply for those funding or not? So there were
Why they
some.
don't want to take advantage of the funding? Did
So
Fremont
you
took
will be
advantage of funding?
surprised to know there are cities they would say we don't know how to use this fund.
Oh,
Yes.
oh my
And
God.
yeah, and you have a funding, there are some limitations, and I'm sure why those limitations are, because they need to be used in a proper way.
Yeah.
City of Fremont hired me just to make sure that this funding is channelized in the right way. Making those policies, uh, presenting it back to the government that whatever funding we've got has been channelized the way they wanted us to. You can have hundreds and thousands of dollars, but if they are sitting in your city's bank account and not being used, it's useless, right?
Thank you, Ross Salwan and Zoriad, Ziad. Yeah, good doing active work. Very good. Thank
Yeah.
you for that.
So this funding was actually um, an initiative taken by Human Services Department of City of Fremont.
Is it
um,
before I interrupt you? I don't want to interrupt you. Is it a large, big administrative submissions and all those things required
it
for this?
is.
Oh,
It is
that's
a full-fledged RFE. Yes, it is a
yeah,
full-fledged RFE. And I would give that credit to Susan Shenfield, who was the director of human services of City of Fremont at that time.
yeah.
And now that whole thing has been taken by Kimmy. He's the director of human services, City of Fremont. But largely, it's been done by another colleague of mine, Annie, and myself. So a lot of effort has been done in past 3 years for City of Fremont, and I have seen that many cities don't even know about it.
Oh my God.
Yes.
It's a sad.
And yeah, and Fremont, after doing all the research and all, we figured out Fremont is a hub where, overdoses are happening.
Hmm.
We have a big population of homeless,
In
which
Silicon Valley, which city has the highest population of opioid crisis among Silicon Valley?
I am not aware of that. And I cannot speak
San
much
Francisco, of
on
course.
that. Yes. I
Number
cannot
one.
speak much on that, but I do know Fremont definitely has the problem, although Fremont is quite a rich city, but Fremont does have the opioid overdose problem. And primarily, Fremont does welcome a lot of homeless, and the kind of laws which we have in the city. Um, we have a lot of homeless shelters, and we need to make them aware the use of Narcan. So it is important that awareness of Narcan is there.
Sometimes overdosages can happen without a fentanyl, like a prescription pills, right? Can
Mhm.
cause that problem. So, in Fort Lauderdale, older people, they don't know they took the dosage. They take a double dosage, triple dosage. So, Nazim, you have any comment on this? Just I'll let you. Uh,
No, but it's like I was thinking that all of us are very deep in our world, and like this is very informative conversation for me personally, and like with my patients and community. This is actually a very important thing that everybody needs to be aware of, and I'm so glad that I was like listening and learning from you, Dr. Divan. This is it's so
Yeah.
much important. Um, but of course, I mean, if each of us, in whatever occupation that we have, if you have this basic information, at least, that's, as you said, will help tremendous, in terms of preventing lives to go away.
Yes, of course. Awareness is the key.
Yeah. Now, Shalini, you work on a mental health a little bit. I don't know, that's not your main focus, but opioids and mental health are they're like cousins, right?
Related.
They're
Yeah.
always cousins.
Mhm.
They work together. How do you handle those both situations like that? Mental health and the opioid crisis, that together.
So, as I mentioned, when we do the funding, we find out which organization really needs help.
Hmm.
So there is like, recently there was like a IHOT program which was based on mental health. They lost their funding because the state is moving from mental health to behavioral health. So many agencies, those who were doing mental health, they lost their funding. So because
Why is that?
mental, they're
Why?
moving
Why?
from mental health to behavioral health.
What is the difference? Let me ask you a question.
Mental health will be more dealing with
Clinical,
mental illness.
clinical part.
Illness, yes. Behavioral will be more like, starting even at
Bad
school.
habits.
Yeah. So they
Yeah.
are moving, and there's a very fine line between it. But behavioral health will start at even at a younger age,
Yeah.
which is good. But the agencies who were doing only mental health, they kind of lost their funding.
Mm.
But again, as I said, City of Fremont is savvy enough, and we consider what is required, and through opioids, because they go hand in hand. And some of the criterias of when we fund, we do look into the guidelines given by the funding, whatever state funding we've received. So we are funding these programs who lost their funding. um, and we City of Fremont has very good counselors. We have a substance use program whereby the youth family services where I am situated, we have counselors going to schools. So very good program to do awareness in youth.
Congratulations. You're doing an excellent job. Let me, the final, we're in the final minutes. Then I will hand over to a little bit of Nazim. I wanted to ask you about the final frontier in treating mental disease, which is psilocybin, which is a psychedelics. Do you think we are psychedelics? There is a lot of research coming in. Psychedelics, one dosage can fix a lot of you know and also Fremont has a lot of older population also, so they have a depression is one of them. One of the lot of research showing that psilocybin, which is the psychedelic thing, can one dosage can solve that problem. Is there any movement in that direction going on in the Fremont, or we are still?
I am not aware of it because
Yeah,
I don't deal with the mental illness.
yeah, that
In
area
silos, I don't. Yeah.
okay. So let us talk about the opioid crisis and
However, however, when you talk about the older population going into depression, if it is related to opioids or substance use, I am part of it. So City
Yes,
of
let me ask you the question before you go into the jump into that. If older people have this problem, opioid problem.
Yes, we
Oh,
deal with that also. So City of Fremont has a department called as AFS, Aging Family Services, something like that. It is for people 55 plus. And anything to do with they deal with all the issues for the aging population. However, I am directly dealing with a subsection which any elder population has any problems with opioids or substance use, then they would fall under our guidelines. So we do have, you know, taken care of the older population as well.
Nazim, you got a final minute. Tell me what do you want to say? Anything?
Well, I just wanted to ask Dr. Dewan, anything else you need to tell us, you want us to, keep in mind and implement. Final remarks that you please tell us. You're the guest.
So, as far as public health is concerned, over the past 3 years that I've been working with City of Fremont, I've been big into awareness of Narcan,
Yeah.
and
Is that
anybody I meet, any podium I can talk about
yeah.
Narcan, I would always do that. So, Ramana or Dr. Naseem, if ever you want to podcast anything on Narcan, bring in people who could make a difference, just giving an awareness on Narcan, I will be more than willing to help spread that word.
Let us put the Narcan can front. I was exactly expecting that answer anyway from you. Narcan is a wonder drug, no question about it. And you're doing an extraordinary job in Fremont, and your message should go to not only Fremont, it should go to other cities, other places
Mhm.
around the world. I mean, you're really propagating. Thank you. I'm honored to, I'm truly honored and privileged to have you. I know you for a long time, and it is truly now I know. Sometimes you meet people that their mind is very different than the people that you meet. So your extraordinary mind, Shalini. Thank you. Hello, say hello to your family, and thank you all joining for us tonight. Good
Yeah.
night, all of you. You can stay for a few minutes. After that, we can talk a couple of minutes. Good night.
We are retelling their stories through our patented designs that can be worn on scrubs, t-shirts, printed on conference bags, and endless other promotional materials. Daily Wear for Medicine is the first ever of its kind to create curiosity in medicine through visual art. We at MedBricks are celebrating unsung heroes of the past who made enormous contributions to the field of medicine through our unique campaign called Daily Wear for Medicine. You can wear it, carry it, and give it.